Hello, everybody. How's it going? I'm offline. My internet died there for a second. So this is my first time streaming. So I have really fast internet here, but it is the opposite end of the house, and I have no direct connection to here. So I'm using a power line adapter, and the power line adapter is like rated for 1,000 megs, but it only does like 50 megs. Um, Probably because they're not on the same loop or whatever. Uh, and that's okay. 50 megs up and down is fine for streaming, but the Wi-Fi coverage in the house was pretty poor, and I had another access point, but the only place I could really put it was after the power line adapter. So now there's my PC is after the power line adapter, and now so is that access point. So anything else connected is also on the access point. Yes, I have new hair. It is not great. It is needs improvement. One might say. We'll we'll give it another go again. You know what? I really wasn't too bothered about hiding it or doing anything or like. I think it would look better if I put gel in my hair, but I just wasn't bothered because that's the way things are. Yes, I do need to get hard cables installed, but I just need somebody to help me. um, yeah, so there's I've no issues with the network side of things. It's the running the cable side of things that's a problem. So yeah, so that's a bit of a pain. Um, I do look younger. Thank you. The I think it was Saturday. I just couldn't stand. I think it might have been Friday actually. I just couldn't stand my beard anymore. It was really warm. It was just annoying me so much, and like my head. I hate being able to see my hair over my eyebrows. I just hated it. So I was just like, okay, I'm just getting rid of all of it. Install fiber cables way easier than normal copper wire. I can't imagine fiber is way easier than copper wire. I still have the problem of how do I route it from one end of the house to the other. It could be like magical pixie dust cable, but I still need to somehow get it the other side of the house. Um, yeah, yeah. So you can't see it, but I'd say the back is even worse. I haven't really seen it either, but like, as in, I can definitely feel bits of hair kind of lower down than I should, but that's fine because you know who cares. So okay, so yeah, running the cable outside is a possibility. Yeah, to be honest though, like when I can get somebody in to help, I'll probably run it through the floorboards. Uh, I think. Because, yeah, I'd have to run it along. Like, this room here is the entire length of the house. The problem is with going through the roof is um, the the internet comes in at the garage, which is has its own attic, and then the house is a two-story house which has another attic. So you still need to find a way of getting it up into the taller attic. And then the other problem with that is we don't have a ladder that's big enough for me to get into the attic. So I need to buy one of those, but our hardware stores are closed. So yeah, like I have a ladder, but it wouldn't be tall enough to safely get me into the attic. Like younger Brian would be able to kind of hop up and push himself up off the attic, but older Brian, and heavier brine, and less strength brine definitely wouldn't. Yes, my ears have been lowered. It's not a great job, but it's fine. Okay. Just raise the roof. Woo woo. Okay, so last week we worked on the Spotify API library. Let's take a look at where we left off. GitHub. Let's go to an old screen share. Why are you weird looking? GitHub. Right. Arduino Spotify. This is probably it. Okay. Yeah, so you need a 24 to 36 inch long drill bit. I bought a 2-meter drill bit recently. Why am I so off center? Do I fix the webcam? Still has me up for you. Yeah, that's better. Yes, I have a really long drill bit. I bought like a 2-meter long one. So I don't know if you know, some people will know. I'm kind of tight with money. Like I don't mind spending money, but I enjoy getting bargains. That's like a hobby of mine. It's probably one of the big reasons I got into electronics, because like, you know, buying these Wi-Fi boards that were like $3 or $4 delivered, like it was just amazing to me. I thought this was just like amazing value. And when then so I hate spending money on things that I could have spent less money on them. I don't mind spending money on things if I have to, but if I could get like the same thing cheaper. And I needed a long drill bit to go through an external wall. And I was like, this is the kind of thing that you could be able to get in Lidl or something, no problem, but I need it now. So I bought it on Amazon, and it was like £15. And then the next time I was in Lidl shopping, I hadn't even received the one from Amazon yet. They had like this 5-piece set for €14. I was like, no. I did buy a cheap robot lawnmower though, Colin. That kind of shipped today. I don't know if it really shipped, but it's they opened it for being collected by the courier. Yes, the back garden was smaller than I thought. I used Google Maps to measure it, which is quite interesting. But yes, so I ended up getting a 1,000-meter squared lawnmower. The Works Landroid. So I'll probably do a video on it when it comes. We were doing a bit of looking, like we need to detach the grass. Like there's a lot of like dead stuff underneath the grass and a lot of moss. And you use and what is it? Scarifier. But apparently scarifying in kind of June or July is not a good idea. And at this stage it probably will be June. So we might need to lay down the wire to let the robot lawnmower go, and then fix it up again in September when you get scarifying. Okay, so we made an example the last day. We also made the start of a library, but anything in the library is covered in this example. Right, so it is a Spotify kind of aid or remote that we're building. It won't play Spotify music or anything, but it will be able to see the Spotify song that I'm playing, is the example we currently have. And hopefully in today's stream, we will add the controls for it so we can skip songs and pause it and things like that. So if you don't know, Spotify kind of has this like Spotify Connect thing where it there you have my Spotify user. It's just forget all about that. I didn't remember that being there the last time. Doesn't matter. Yeah, so like, so if I'm playing this here, just make sure I'm not sharing my audio so I don't actually cause any problems. Like, I can now use my phone to skip songs. Like, they're all connected to my Spotify account. So, like, I can now skip songs on my phone. And I'm hoping that we can do the same thing with like an ESP8266 or an ESP32 or something. Joe Anon, the wind behind them. So the lawn is 920 square meters, plus there is a rather large like island in it, or I want to say like flower bed, but it's stones, and there's a pool in it. So I'd say there's probably only maybe like 800 square meters, if even, of like usable lawn. And we plan to at some stage put in like a chicken coop or something and a veg garden. So that lawn will only get smaller. So if it doesn't work out, so we bought too small of a one, well, I'll let you know. But we should have at least 10% of leeway in the 1,000 meter one. So we'll see how it goes. The one that I was looking at, the one that I bought was €840 delivered. So it's not particularly it's kind of expensive, but like we would have had to buy a petrol lawnmower anyways. At least a decent petrol push lawnmower, which would probably be €500 or €600. So it's not too much more expensive, although we probably will buy some form of a lawnmower then. Okay, so just the example connects to the Arduino Spotify library. We're using Arduino JSON. You connect to this. This is something we will need to sort at some stage too. Like the token I was using was kind of like a trial token from Spotify. It seems to only work for maybe like an hour or maybe not even that long. So, but that's fine. We'll figure that out. It should just be making an OAuth request and you'll get the bearer token back, and then that should be valid for a while. I did something similar with the Twitter API library that I had. I think so. This is like the inspiration for this came from the Squix project, Spotify. Let's see if that reveals anything. Ting Pulse project. So, they already have a Spotify project, but it's like the sketch is specific for this kit, and I want to just extract it all away so you can run it on whatever you want to run it on, and like you can pick and like take parts out if you want, like as in this sketch is made to be exactly like this, but what if you just want the display part, or you just want the buttons part, or whatever. So I'm just trying to extract out whatever we can. Although we didn't actually use this code at all, we did it from scratch. But just the idea came from this. But like they have some good instructions on how to get your your API token set up and stuff. And then they also to get the token, they seem to. When you run for the first time, you'll go through additional steps. The display will ask you to open the browser to a specific location. This will redirect you to the dialog below. So this is what would like authenticate my account with the ESP8266. So we may need to do something similar, but I don't think we'll be doing that on the stream. Excuse me. Use Fritzbox power plugs and Node.js app to control Spotify with clapping from your bed. Well, like, the idea will hopefully be that if you can make the Arduino listen for the clap, like those those small microphone sensors like that you can get are kind of clap based or whatever. So anything that could be an input to the Arduino should be fine for an input. But let's I suppose let's get it working. So all we did was we get the data back. We currently throw an error if the person is not playing music, because Spotify returns a 204 if they're not playing music. I can't remember what that is, but I think it's just empty response or something, and we probably should have a different state to handle that. Like, it's not really an error. The request came back, like, as in there was no problem with the request. They just weren't playing music. So how Tingpulse handled it, we saw it just at the end of the last stream, is they had they set a property that was basically like, is account active, or is remote active, and maybe something like that is a good way to go, but we won't worry about it at the moment. Yeah, at 204 is a no content. Yeah. So yeah, like, maybe that is active thing might make sense, or maybe even we return the status code up. Like, as in, maybe the status code makes sense. So you'd have a currently playing, could keep the dot, but then also keep, currently playing that status code. And if it got a 204, it meant that it was, just nothing is currently playing right now. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out the request that we need to make to skip songs, and we need to try get that working before we move on to anything else. So that looks wrong. Okay, player. So this is the Spotify documents. Get a user's available device, get information about the playback. It's not what we want. Recently played. Pause a user's playback. Yep, I guess that's the first step, right? A valid access token. So that's the same thing we need to do, and the access token must have access to user modified playback state. Scope, so that's fine. The device that the command is targeting, if not supplied, the user's currently active device is targeted. So that's an optional parameter that we might want to allow the user to specify. Who cut my hair? It was my wife. Mambo number 5. Bam, bam, bam. A completed request will return a 204 no content response code and then issue the command to the player. So we're going to have to handle 204 no content a little bit better in our kind of generic get request class, because a valid, like, everything went fine, will be 204 no content for this. So let's just click this try button. And yeah, so here it is. It's just HTTPS API Spotify.com v1 me player pause. Okay, so this player endpoint is obviously going to be important to us, so hopefully we'll have like a pause one and a skip one and a previous one and a play one, or whatever the things are. Right, I'm just going to move this off to the side because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be sharing an API key in a second. I'll let you know if I'm not. Try it will affect my account. Okay, so let's pop up Spotify and I'll just play this thing here. So you should be able to see the plus icon. Let me do zoomed in. Oops. You'll see my songs are a nice mix of weird stuff plus kid stuff, because that's how I roll. Okay. So let's click try it. Didn't seem to pause. Do I take out device ID? Doesn't seem to be pausing. Am I still logged in, maybe? Let me just reload that page. Hey, it's not that bad, is it? It's pretty bad. Fill sample data, try it. Oh, my access token has expired. Okay, so I just need to click get token. I need to select, I'll just show you this here. So this is the scope thing. So like you can generate your auth tokens to have scopes. This is the user modify playback state scope. We don't need any of the rest of them for this one. Yeah, so we can just we'll have to figure out which scopes we need for each. This is great. It seems like half my OBS scenes have me in different positions, so that'll be fun. Let me just reposition that one. Yeah, so we'll have to figure out which scopes are needed for which states, so people will know. But yeah, I'm just gonna click save on that one. I'm just agreeing to that. Okay, so let's get back up Spotify. So it's playing. I click try. 404 device not found. I don't want to specify a device. Is it still specifying a device? No device. Stop specifying a device. Restriction violated. Maybe I've tried it too many times. Well, that's not good. Oh, it did pause. Oh, maybe that restriction violated is that it was already not paused. You can't see fully what I'm doing because it has API keys in it. Or OAuth tokens, which would be linked to my Spotify account, so I'm sorry, I'll have to keep some things hidden. So I'll just click try it. Okay, so it's working there. Okay, so next step is to put it into Postman. So let's bring up Postman. Let me just go to just me for a second. I'll get rid of my bearer token in Spotify. Right, let's go back to okay, so we'll just create a new request. We're gonna call this pause. We'll put it in Spotify. Okay. So it is a put request, so we'll have to do that differently as well. It is a put request to this endpoint, HTTPS. It has one optional parameter, which is device ID. Then it has some headers, which we can probably just copy from this one. We'll go to bulk edit. Now I'll have to put in the bare bearer token here. And that should be it then. I should be able to click send up here, and that should be it. So I'm just going to copy in the token and click send, and we'll make sure that it is working. So I'll press play again. So this is me clicking send in Postman now, and it paused. Okay. Right, so we're going to need to make a few changes to the library to allow for all this stuff. So I guess what we need to do is we need to, I guess if we look at the different docs available or whatever for the player, because there isn't much point making like a separate endpoint for pause, a separate endpoint for play, a separate endpoint. Like possibly they should all be like a control like method, and you pass in like an enum or something that is play, pause, start, rather than having like 5 different methods. Although I'm not sure on that, but I'd be interested to see ESP8266 OAuth. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Bolly, let me just open it in a different thing, because if somebody else has a way of doing OAuth, then I'm not going to recreate it. It's WIP implementation of OAuth, sends emails using Gmail API. Equifax.ino. Wi-Fi client secure. Yeah, it's not very generic. So we probably won't be using this. Authorize. Unless I'm missing something, Bali. Yeah. Oh yeah, Michael, I definitely recommend using Postman. So on my channel, I have a video about like connecting to APIs using an ESP8266, and if you want to do that, I would totally recommend using it, for sure. So it's kind of covered in that video. Okay, so Spotify Q. I'm not going to get into adding songs and stuff to a player. I think that's out of scope for ESP8266 stuff. Get a user's available devices, maybe down the road, because then you could probably swap what it's playing on, like as in change from like my PC to my phone or whatever. So yeah, so we got the get information about the user's current playback. That's weird. The track type valid or episode. So it seems like there's a couple of different current playing context. Shuffled state. It's just that we in the last video or last stream we did the get currently playing. Yeah, this doesn't seem to return. Doesn't seem to return exactly what we want. But I just thought it was interesting that it was like a similar looking thing. Okay, so we have pause, repeat, volume, next, previous, play, shuffle. So like all these things here, like they should all probably be one method. Anyone else eat cream of mushroom straight from a can? No. I think you're the only one. Do you need to use Postman only if you're connecting with APIs on only like if you want to connect with APIs that haven't already been, like, there's not a library for them already? Yes. If you're not doing that, I wouldn't think so. Yeah, so okay, we have currently playing, right? That's what we have implemented already, and now we're going to do this. I think it makes sense to not have lots of different player endpoints. So maybe we'll just have a player control method. Enums are a thing in C++, right? Enum declaration. Is there anything different I should be using than enums? Enum that takes 16 bits. I don't like that example. Program is, this one looks very nice. I accept. Okay, so if you're not familiar with enums, they're kind of like, they're almost like, I don't know how to describe them exactly. They're, if you've a fixed set of values that something could be, like, say the days of the week, you might set up an enum. So, well, here's a good example. Enum for seasons. It can be spring, summer, autumn, or winter. And so normally what they do is they just have like a number behind the scene. Like, so in this, by default, spring would be 0 and summer would be 1. But what it's useful for is, like, you could give a class like a property of what season it is, and then you could have like maybe like a case statement or something that says, like, if it's spring do this, and if it's summer do this, or so it's a way of kind of, rather than trying to remember that the code for spring is 0, you can use your enum to go, if the items season equals season.spring, then you can do that. So week today equals Wednesday, and that will output 4. Would anybody do anything else than an alias to a numerator? I think is a nice way of putting it. Yeah, you wouldn't normally use an array because, like, we only have like specific things that we want it to be. Pause seek might be its own thing because presumably it takes repeat might take its own thing too, actually, because it probably has a state which is required. Yeah, so you're turning on, so like in Spotify there's like repeat, a repeat option here. So I've repeat off. That's repeating, I think, the album. That's repeating the exact song, and then it's off again. So Yeah, maybe we will be better off just doing kind of a separate one for each. Um, yeah, like normally it's just to give us names for integers. All right, Dev, take it easy. Yeah, no, enums are cool. Like so you could you know like have it as a string where you put in like a command, and if you pass in the string repeat, uh, it works or whatever. But like that's really messy and memory inefficient and stuff, and so you don't want to do that. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Is it IAD? Um, yeah, you see, that's the thing. I want this to be available to people to build whatever they want with it. Um, so, like, if they have an idea that they can just bring in this library and get a token, and then that's the Spotify thing worried about, and then they can, focus on building cool hardware. Um, so volume percent. Okay, I think I might just do individual ones because a lot of them seem to be like some of them are pretty basic in terms of so play is going to not require an additional query. Next, previous, and pause. So there's four that don't require additional parameters, but nearly all of the rest of them do. So will I develop a shield for the ESP? Maybe. Um, I don't have any major plans to do it at the moment, but like, say for example, we could do it with unexpected makers like Play Shield. Like something like that might work well, where you display the song title on it, and then you have the buttons there that you could use for skip and whatever. Um, yeah, not everything. Yeah, like I don't mind. Like not all projects need to make money for me. Like as in, like I like making libraries because I think it's interesting to have the libraries, and I'll get some residual money from like YouTube and GitHub sponsors and things like that. So like it's not a priority at all. Um, tiny spot the Spotify shield, Dotify, yeah, like if I was to make a shield, it wouldn't be specifically for Spotify. Definitely not. Like, I might design it around, this might be a good use case for the Spotify, but, uh, as in I'd want it to be able to be used for other things too. Um, function overloading. Yes, you could. It'll probably make it pretty complicated though. Like, as in, if there was only like, I, I presume, say, like volume, you're setting a percentage from 0 to 100, and then say the shuffle has a state which is true or false, and then what's the repeat one? The repeat one is a state which is track, context, or off. So they're probably strings. Like, I think I think you might get away with it. I'm never a huge fan of function overloading. Um, spiffy. um, have I been thinking about a tiny controller with a small screen for anything? Yeah, like I have thought about something more along those lines. So I have like a display shield, but I think that needs to be expanded to something else. Um, so function overloading is basically. Do I have an example of that anywhere? Um, I know I do, but I don't know where it is. So function overloading. If we look at the header files of this, right? So I have a command. I have a function make get request, and it takes a char and a char pointer for a command. Um, so I could also make a get request that is make get. So if I did this, this would cause a problem because there's two of them, and I wouldn't know which one to use. But like if I made one that took bool, I don't know what sense that would make. You could do that, as far as I remember, because you could do that because it would know from the context of what was being passed in, which was which. So like if someone made make get request and passed in true, they would know to use this one, and if they made put in one that was star command, they would know to use, or sorry, a character array, they'd know to use that one. So that's the function overloading. I think it's too complicated. I think I'll just do it. I'll have like I'll make a generic put method. So this is make get request. I'll make a generic put method. Possibly. I'll have to figure out how I'm going to put in all these extra. I guess I could pass in. I could pass in additional. Yeah, if it's a put, I guess it would be passing in like extra stuff for the body, but yeah. Yeah, so default values and stuff, I do that a bit. Yeah, I think I remember where I used the overloaded thing. I think if you look at PX Matrix library, I pushed a pull request for that. That's been accepted on it, where I overloaded the begin method to allow you to put in custom SPI pins for the ESP32. Yeah, the optional. Yeah, I think we'll just start with something simple and we'll change it, because I haven't released the library yet. I don't mind making breaking changes to it at the moment. Like I would be very. I wouldn't like to make breaking changes to any library that's been released, like on the Arduino library manager or whatever, because people have been using it in their projects and things like that. So I'll just start with something and see where we end up. So I'm just going to. I think I might implement the skip song first, because that would be a nicer. Thing to implement. A more useful thing. Oh, so next is a post, not a put. Why would it be a post? That's interesting. Okay, cool. Something else, but that's fine. Right. Okay, so let's start with. Excuse me. Okay, so let's start with here. We're gonna do a bool. We're gonna do make post request, and we're going to take a command. So normally you would take a body at this stage and a post request too. So normally posts you send something, but because we don't have that at the moment, I'm just gonna leave it blank. Okay. Let's also get the. Do you know what? Maybe I might change this around. Spotify currently playing endpoint. I could change that to be Spotify player endpoint, because they're all the same. And like, no, I won't for now. Okay, so this is just the endpoint we're going to hit with this, and we are doing the Spotify skip song. What do they call it? Next. Spotify next track. Spotify player next track. Oh, I need endpoint. Next track endpoint. And we're doing, you can't see that part. Let me zoom us out a bit and then you'll be able to see it. So here. So we'll go into this and we'll, oh, I don't need all of this, but I'll get rid of it in a second. So I just want the V1 player part. Okay, I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so we've got our endpoint and we've made a new placeholder in the header file for post requests. So if I was programming normally, I wouldn't use such a big font, but it's for streaming that I want to make it like really visible, even if it's on your phone. The monitor I use is like a 1440p monitor, but I only stream in 1080p as well, so I know like even that's getting constricted. So this is like way oversized for me, but that's fine. I don't really mind. Okay, so we'll also do create a new one of these and we'll call it, I'm still not sure, should we do a skip song? No, we won't. Bool next track. We will possibly have a device ID at some stage, but we'll default it to blank. I am getting old. I actually don't need glasses though, which is surprising. Const should be defined in general. Where are you getting that from, Bolly? Yeah, you could be right. All right. Paul, we're making a Spotify API library. So on an Arduino, we won't be able to listen to the songs or anything, but we'll be able to see what's being played, and we're also hoping to be able to like skip songs and stuff. Okay, so we're gonna do const instead. So const char. Something. If it's Arduino says it's true, then that's good enough for me. So char, so const char, my dogs are barking. Currently playing endpoint. Currently playing endpoint. So like this. Do you know what? It probably makes sense to do this. Might keep the host where it is, but I think these endpoint ones, I think it does endpoint. Thank you. Endpoint. Currently playing endpoint. And we'll do the same for the next one. which is player next track endpoint. Player next track. Did I miss something? Stored in SRAM along with other variables. Literal values used will often be stored. Ah, okay. Flashback Arist. Arist made it into it somewhere, didn't it? I'm pretty certain Arist made it in here. Or maybe I fixed it. Oh, I think I fixed it in a subsequent like push, but I'm pretty sure it made it in. Yeah, thank you, Bali. I didn't know that. I have them all over the place, so this is correct, right? So I can get rid of this, and I will fix this. I think that works. Or do I do it as a private variable? I guess. Or a public variable? Yeah, like I kind of have it in global space at the moment, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense in when I'm using classes. I guess I'll put them. But then, should there be consts then? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe somebody can answer that, because I actually don't know the answer to it. Should my const chars be a public property of my Arduino Spotify class? Should it be above it? Doesn't seem to make sense to have it above it. You could use f, that flash as well. Yeah, we could do that. I don't think it makes much difference on ESPs, or I don't know if I remember reading that somewhere. It's program space. For the same reason you'd use the f macro or program around literal strings. Do I want them in program space? I don't know. Stored in program space. I don't know. Am I now like moving them because I had them as hash defines, they were in flash, and now I'm putting them back in flash using the f macro? I'm a little bit confused. We'll just leave it for now. That's if it works. We'll move on to the next part of the thing. So we need a next track method, so let's do that. So we'll go to the currently playing Arduino Spotify, and we'll just kind of piggyback off that. Just take device ID. We already have our default in the previous one. Okay. So, was there anything? The device ID. So we'll just do basically the same thing here, but with device ID. Device ID. And we'll change that to be device ID instead of market. It doesn't only work. It definitely works with ESPs, but it could just do nothing. Like it will compile, but it possibly doesn't do what you want. Yeah. I don't know what I want to do with the strings and where I want to store them. I'm just going to move on from them for now. I would like to get it working and then kind of optimize it a bit. Let me turn on my light here. It's getting a bit dark. Let me plug in a new battery for my light. Okay. Yeah, I'll revisit that in a moment anyway, Samuel. Use constrings char, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then would you put it as a property of the, would you put it as a public property of the class if you're not too worried about it being public? Or is it in the global space of the header file? Or I have no idea. Okay, so we have next track. So the first thing we're doing is we're taking command, so we're putting that endpoint, currently playing endpoint, which is wrong. We're doing player next track endpoint. We're putting in if they have device ID passed in, we'll add that on to the command. Right, that all makes sense so far. And if debug is enabled, I do have to get back to trying like hash define Spotify debug, because then it would just get removed if the debug flag is not true. But when I tested that before, it didn't work, and I haven't gotten around to testing it since. So we don't actually need to care about the Arduino JSON because we're not getting any response back. If we go back to here, we're going to get a 204 no content, or a 404 or 403, or so yeah. Okay, you could get a response code will returned with a premium required. I'm not too worried about that. I declare it globally, so don't optimize prematurely. Yeah, should have left them as hash defines for now. Okay, they're now back to being globals up there, but they're const chars still. Okay, thank you for that. Right, so I am going to focus on just getting the status code back. So I'm going to return true if we got a 204 no content, and I'm going to return false if anything else came back. And we'll worry about the implications of anything else coming back after that. So we're going to make a post request, which takes a command, which we have here. And that is going to return back our status code. And we're going to return status code equals 204. We'll return 204 if all went well. Hey, Mark Olson's back. I think. Yes, Mark is back. Mark was a huge help in last week's one. even breathing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't deal. Oh, you have a really good view of my head when I'm looking this way at the monitor. Okay, so that's as simple as this next track will be, but now we need to create a post method. So what did I have? We were returning a bool. We're going to change this to return an int. And I think we might do the same with get request, but it doesn't have to be now. So let me just grab something like this, and we'll change this to be int, and we'll change this to be post. Right, this will all be the same. Now, maybe I should GitHub's. Sure. Mark, do you have a GitHub sponsors? Does the ESP8266 have tasks like that? Well, normally all your code runs on a single task anyways, right? So, like, all your Arduino code in ESP32 land is a task. So if you delay, maybe it'll still allow some stuff under the hood to keep happening, but your code will be blocked. Finally, I missed the volatile queue. Yes. That like you can use you have the same problem with you have the same problem with interrupts on the ESP8266, or at least you used to. That if you wanted to set a flag or something, it has to be volatile. Okay, so back in that video that I did on back on the video that I did for API calls, I mentioned that you should, let's just get a new token, that you should use Postman, which I have here, but I did it for a put request, so let's create a next. You should use Postman as much as you can. So we have a post to this guy here. We have a header, bulk edit. Content type is application JSON. Well, we forgot the accept type as that, and then we've the authorization bearer, and then I'll have to put in the code off screen. But let me just show you what I'm about to do. So if I click send here, this is going to fail because it's not a valid bearer token. I know that's quite small, so let me do zoom screen share. So that's not a valid bearer token. But what you can do is you can go to this code button up here, and you can switch it to HTTP. And this is really similar to what we need to send for the Arduino code. So I'm just going to fill in the proper bearer token, and it'll end up being here. Yeah, I'm just going to test that the other one works. And yeah, this will basically give us what we need to put in. We can get rid of some stuff like the user agent stuff, probably. Um, it should work without it anyways, or at least the last one did. But the other thing that we'll need is this content length. And normally in a post it wouldn't be 0, but it's going to be 0 for us here. So yeah. Right, so I have to go off screen and get my bearer token. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put it into Postman and just make sure that the request works as expected. So no, I'm getting a no active device back. So it's funny, that's coming back as 404 not found HTTP status code, but it's also coming back. I can hide the headers actually, so it's also coming back as a JSON payload to say that there was no devices found. So we might do something with that in the future, but for the moment I'm gonna worry about sunny paths only. So let's bring up Spotify and click play. I'll click the send command again here. So it should move to the next song. I'll just move it back so it doesn't happen automatically. So we'll click send. And it did move to the next song. And we got absolutely nothing back in Postman. We got a 204 no content, which is what we expected. Right. So we can use our HTTP. We can make post requests. So it's basically going to be the same thing as the get. Even down to all this stuff here. The only thing is we might need to extract the header now rather than just checking for it. So I'm just gonna do my usual copy and paste programming. So instead of sending a get, we're sending a post and then the command that was passed into us. Yes. I guess I'm posting, like I'm not sending in a device ID at the moment, but I'm appending it onto the URL, which isn't really right. I probably should be posting it in. It's fine. Let's see what happens. Okay, so host the Spotify, accept application, all that's the same. Cache, no cache. Yeah, failed to send request. Okay, so here we're reading bytes until our first /or, and then we're comparing. So that's basically getting the response back from the HTTP request. My daughters do love those Disney movies for sure. It is get, but it's fine for now. I will make the HTTP people crazy, but I'm not going to use the device ID for the moment. So I just want to get this endpoint working, and then we'll tidy up the endpoint afterwards. Okay, so it's reading the response from the HTTP request, and it is reading till the first new line and then comparing what it has against this, right? And I think that we need to change this. So like if we're interested in what this number is here, I guess we want to read that first and then read the next 3 characters. Hey Bleep Track, how's it going? Oh, you came in earlier. I didn't see it. Sorry. What did I not get? Poof. I don't know what I got or didn't get. I guess we could read. We could kind of skip over this part of it. I can't even remember how I did that before. I need to look up a different example. So yeah, I basically just want to skip over this part of the response, and then the next 3 characters would be my status message, or else I can read until this part. But you see, it's not going to be okay all the time. It's not going to be okay. Yeah, so yeah, I'll skip over this part and then read the next 3 characters. I guess. I don't know, unless anybody has any other better ideas. Where is it? Here. So I know I did that somewhere recently. Where did I do it though? There's a big picture of me. Nope. There we go. Where did I do it recently? The team trees example. I did it here. So I read bytes until okay, yeah, so this find basically skips the text that comes after, skips to the text that comes after data point. So if you do find, it'll just skip straight to the end of your stream at the end of the find part. So that's what we're going to do. I guess I can just, if client found, ooh, can you do regular expression on Arduino? You're also looking for really specific regular expression or status codes there, aren't you? I think it'll be fine to just skip. You have a regex library. Is it something that needs to be installed externally? I don't know that actually. Arduino regex match. Yeah, I'm not super interested. It's pretty big. No, it's fine. I'm not going to regular expression it. It's too small of a chunk of work to require someone to install a new library. When we can just kind of do it ourselves. Well, regex isn't evil in some scenarios, but for a microcontroller, I'd say it's a disaster. Okay, so client. I'm gonna do a client find. So if client find, I can leave status there for the moment. So I guess status is going to be, I'll leave it as 0 for the moment. Or sorry, as 32. It can definitely be changed. Client.find HTTP. Right, so it should skip to the next thing. I don't know if I'd say always evil. I think just probably things extracted away from us now. So if client.found is true, if it's not, I guess I'm going to return a -1 or something. I don't know if I want to do that. I possibly do. We'll see. Yeah, like the HTTP library is specific to an ESP8266, is it not? Recommend doing regex crosswords. Oh, trust me, I hate doing regex, but I don't know. I'm sure it has its uses. Like, how would you validate like user input without it, right? That's one example I can think that would be impossible to do without it. Like email or whatever. Okay, so client.find. So that should move my needle to here. So now I just need to read the next 3 bytes. Expressive, ESP32, HTTP client. Yeah, so the problem with this, the problem I have with HTTP client, and I could be wrong, is that it is specific to devices. I don't think there is a generic HTTP client, right? So if I used this one that you just linked to, it would be it would be specific for the ESP32. Or if I made one, it would be specific to the ESP8266. But if you use the generic client, you can use it on the same exact code on either, because you're just passing in the generic client. And then you get kind of the added bonuses of that, of say like when the board that basically nobody uses, like an Arduino Nano IoT or something. I don't see people using them at all, but maybe I'm just kind of in a circle of people who use ESP32s and ESP8266s, but like that code works with the same libraries, because you just pass in their implementation of a client that supports HTTPS. What PCB are you designing? Okay, so I need to read the next 3 bytes. So how do I do that? Arduino stream reference read bytes until. So do I just read parameter stream? So that would just return bit comparison int. Stops when no characters have been read for a configurable timeout or non-digit is read. If no valid digits were read when the timeout occurs, 0 is returned. This function is part of the stream class, wire serial. So look ahead is the data type that comes out of this is long. I don't need it to be a long. Maybe this isn't what I want. I could just read string until just do bytes for the next tree read bytes. I'm just trying to figure out what I should do with this. I could read bytes until the next space, and that should give me that should give me the character to search for char or byte. That should give me the code. Don't see why not. Let me just copy this entire line because I deleted it up here. So read bytes until space into status, and I guess we would just return the bytes now. A bit mask. You can bit shift memory with something like dash dash, then just shift like 8x character bits, just to get rid of the find thing, is it? We see this has the added advantage of if you don't find that, you know something has gone wrong. Other than, like, you know, you haven't got a HTTP request back. Yeah, I think this will be fine. Just read bytes until... And... Do you think that will work, Mark? Just doing a client that parse int? After the find, I presume, right? Because 1.1 would be 1.1 would be the first find int, and I think then you would also need to specify the. I think you would also need to specify the look ahead, the mode used to look ahead the stream for an integer. The look ahead values are skip all characters other than digits or minus signs are ignored when scanning the stream for an integer. Nothing is skipped and the stream is not touched unless the first waiting character is valid. Skip whitespace. Only tab spaces, line feeds, and carriage returns are skipped. So, I don't know. Let's ask Google parse HTTP status code Arduino. Okay, that was nothing. See, this is all just getting back. If client find, okay, that's almost exactly what I did. And then okay. So it's just doing a parse int after that. Okay, let's give it a go. So they are just using that, and then they're doing, I don't know, int status code equals client dash. Perfect. Yeah, seems to make sense though, right? Parse int. Okay. I'm just doing this part here because it'll basically cast it as a int, And okay, let's just return the status code, and we will do all this rest of this stuff. Do we want to move the needle of the thing? Maybe I might create a separate method which is like skip to end of headers or something, because I do that same thing in both the get and post. So okay, basically we are after getting rid of this part, but like we'll have left the stream in a strange place, which is fine. But like if we wanted to potentially parse the JSON afterwards, like the stream is in not a good place to parse the stream. Sorry, the Arduino JSON library won't be able to parse the stream because the next parts that are coming in the stream aren't valid JSON. They're the rest of the headers. So yeah, maybe we'll just create a private thing, which is a void, which is skip to skip headers. I should really be passing in the client to stuff like this, but I'm not going to bother. So we'll just put it down the bottom somewhere. Skip headers. Go up and grab my skip headers stuff. Right, so this will just move the client ahead. Yeah, there's nothing that needs to be in there. So now I can just take the skip headers. I don't have my usual mouse. I gave it to my wife. We set up my old PC for her, and I'm using my gaming mouse for programming, and I don't like it. Alright, skip headers there, and I'm also going to skip headers in here. And you know what? I don't like this else. I'm just going to return down here if there was an error. Could you not use the skip headers method to return the int of the status? It could be find that. Well, he's probably not wrong that this should be moved to something else, right? I'm also not using this. Let's do this. Int get status. Get HTTP status code. I think there needs to be two methods there, but I think you're right. I'll need to reuse that piece of code multiple times, so I definitely should be I definitely should be returning it or putting it in its own method, I think. That's this here. I won't skip the headers down there though. I won't skip the headers. Now we have a new one, which is get HTTP status. Oh, this will need to return fall or return -1. If it hasn't already returned. It's up here. So now I will have int status code equals get HTTP status code. Do skip headers. Then I will return status code. So yeah, the only reason I have this int here is so that would I am going to introduce a new type. I think I'll keep it as int because I actually I'd find that hard to read because I would be looking in like classes for a definition of HTTP status code, like rather than a define, which doesn't make sense. Yeah, I definitely find that like it makes sense, but I definitely would find that hard to follow if I was coming on it new. So I think I'll just leave it as int. Okay, so we have our status code that we're getting back from here. Then we can skip the headers and then we return the status code. Probably no harm doing the same in the get as well. And doing the programming thing and making 2 changes at once. Should never do that. But anyways, I think this is so much cleaner that I want to do it. And we can do the same here, right? That it's okay, that would return status code. Making changes that I really didn't need to make right now, but right, that will keep us basically where we were, but IP address is an object, I'm pretty sure. Maybe, yeah, maybe it's like a struct or something then, is it? Okay, that should, if I've typed it in right, work. Okay, so we have our post request. That looks okay. We hope that this part works all right. So then that would get us back to here. and we're returning true if status code equals to 204. I guess we should do something else if it's not, but for now it's okay. All right, Paul, take it easy. I can't imagine that this is the most like riveting thing at the end of a long day. So you have earned your sleep. Okay, so I guess we can get to making an example now. New folder. So I might just do player controls example. I don't think we need a new example for like for each one. So yeah, I'm sure you are. Player controls.ino. We can just basically copy this entire example from here. So I am a copy and paste programmer. Controls Spotify using an ESP8266. Controls Spotify player using an ESP8266. You can get that from this URL. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't actually need Arduino JSON yet, but I'm just going to leave it there. We'll need to fill in that stuff later. That's fine. Delay between responses. I might just do it once on startup, I guess. Because then I could just reset it every time I want to actually skip the song again to test. I guess skipping every minute. It'd be really annoying if it was left on though by mistake and you're like, why is my Spotify just skipping over and over again? So I might just take them out. Connects to the Wi-Fi, resetting the fingerprint, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think I'll just, at the end of the setup, I will just do a delay. Somebody mentioned how much they love delays earlier. I'm just going to delay for a second, and then I'm going to do Spotify dot, where do I do that? Spotify. I don't think I need to pass in the market. Right, Spotify dot, what did I call this? Next track, and I'm not going to specify a device ID. Wrong thing. Yeah. Can also accept device ID. Okay, and then we can just get rid of this. This would be an even simpler example, because I'm going to have nothing in the loop. Code is at end of setup. Example code is at end of setup. Okay. But sometimes it's to my detriment. See, Ed, take it easy, and Bolly. Sometimes it's to my detriment. Like I nearly copy and pasted Spotify there, which is like it's not great. That's why I'm so bad at spelling. Okay. So I think we should be good to go to pull this into the Arduino IDE. I need to just take you off screen for a second. You can look at my terrible hair again. Okay, let me bring you back online for a second. I really need to bump up the... that's a bit better. The resolution of the mouse. Okay, so I'm gonna delete my Spotify API library from my Arduino IDE because we now have a new and improved one. So I'm just going to do that in include library. That's off screen, but I'm just doing add zip to library. It will be under documents, then code, Arduino, Spotify API. Okay, so we have it back in now, so we can go to examples, Arduino Spotify API. So we have this player controls example now. Go to full screen share. Yeah, so here's our example. I'm just going to fill in my bearer token and my SSID and password, and we'll see how we get on. Suppose I also need to plug in D1 Mini. So I'll plug that in first. I will be back momentarily. Let's get rid of you for a second. Hey, Jet Gyrotech, how's it going? Yeah, if I had the choice, I prefer like a dark-skinned IDE, but I don't care enough to install anything. Like if there was like a one-click thing on the Arduino to be like, hey, now I'm a dark skin, but I think you need to install a style for it or something, and I don't care that much. Maybe I should for streams, because it's not just me looking at it, it's all of you guys too, but right, so I'm just copying in my bearer token. I'm just taking the one from their website, so we're still not getting the correct bearer token. I don't need that market either, actually, so let's get rid of that while I'm here. That is not something that's needed for this example. Just putting in my username and my SSID and password. Connecting to the right thing. Okay, so we're clicking upload. Java has crapped out. Clicking upload again. We have an error. Let me just make sure it's not printing my thing on screen. It is not. So let's try and take a look at this now. So I think I'm taking a const and I'm putting it into a char. Array must be initialized with a brace enclosed initializer. So what was it? Array must be initialized with a brace enclosed initializer. So I think that we're probably... Oh, it's not this code. It is this code. I think it's probably just... Is it this? But I need to check. Array must be initialized. not 100%. I'm not 100% sure on that. Antonio, it's not good, but I would say it's usable. Char array from const. Right, somebody else has the same problem as me here. Right, so I have a char array, this is okay, but if I have this or that, it's not allowed. Alright, so that's the same thing. I don't want my new one to be a const, so that's not it. Because pointers are not arrays, arrays are not pointers. Okay. I don't want to make a pointer to my const. I want to take the contents of the const, and put it in the might go back to hash defines just for now and worry about it later. Go vinyl, no code required. Hey Ray, how's it going? Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to the hash defines for now. And I will add that to the list of things I need to sort out. To do, fix this. Hash define, spelled it right. Spotify. Currently playing end point. Next track endpoint. Okay. So let's fix these. It's the currently playing endpoint. Next track endpoint, which you probably had wrong. Okay. Do I need the equals in the define? No. Good catch. Okay, so I'll just delete Arduino Spotify API. And we'll bring back up player controls. We'll go to include library, manage libraries, not manage libraries. Oh, stop it. Just stop Arduino. I'm sorry that I clicked the wrong button. Please don't go off. Documents, code, Spotify API. It's just an electronic version of thumb screws. Yeah, I think I would probably use Platform IO kind of if I was only doing it for myself. Okay, so we still have some errors here. Skip headers is returning false somewhere, so that's not good. Skip headers returns false. I guess maybe it should be a Boolean. I think I'll just return. Okay. Let's see what the other one was, because there was something else. Expected close of bracket. Oh, my if is missing a... Yes. Do I need to? No, because I didn't change out the example. I still have that example open in my IDE. Yeah, so as a thing for writing code, I think the Arduino IDE is very bad. But I don't think it does get enough credit for making the whole uploading of code and stuff as easy as it is. So I'll give them that. But for developing of code, it's not great. I will give them that. I think, like, just even if they just had simple stuff like the auto complete, that would make a big difference. Okay. Wi-Fi connected. I suppose this should probably be printing like the status of that, or not. I guess, what are we doing? We're skipping songs. We got an invalid response back. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. So what says invalid response? This does. So I guess I could get rid of this just to make sure that that's not doing anything. Like post request. Oh, I never added in the post size or the content length. That is a problem. So let's just throw that in, I guess, at the end. I don't think it really matters. I'm purposely keeping it a little bit separate. Content length space. And then I'll do a println. And I'm just going to make this 0. That will make it easier for us to add in a content length at a later date. Instead of deleting the whole thing again, let's just go to my documents, but off screen. And go here. Now, Spotify API source. I just changed the CPP, so I can just copy and paste that in there. Copy here, replace file. Go back to here, and we'll click upload. Make sure Spotify is doing something. Oh, it's coming so close to the end of a song. It's connecting. Invalid response. Okay, so we probably need to figure out what's going on here. We have the postman part. Cache control, no cache. Content length is 0. I guess we could just print what comes back as a response from Spotify. That might make sense. So we can just do while client is available, we'll just read byte and print it. Which is basically this. So while client is available, char-c read byte 1. I could have used read bytes 3, but that's fine. And we will just print it exactly as it is. Then we'll just stop doing this and this and this. I suppose I better return something. Return 0. Okay. I'll go back over here. So we're copying across the CPP again. All good. Okay. So what we should see here, I wouldn't be surprised actually if my my user token has expired. Let's get a new one. So what we should see here, oh, I'm after getting a new one, but I haven't actually updated it on my my thing, so this is going to be a problem. We might get a malformed request anyways. Or maybe we'll get the access token is bad. Let's find out. It could literally be timing out, so maybe I'm doing something wrong. Oh, maybe I'm not sending the post correctly. Like, even though it's an empty post, maybe I should be doing something different. I bet that's it. So let's go to my GitHub. As I mentioned, I'm a copy and paste programmer. So if we go to me. So if you're ever looking how to do HTTPS or HTTP requests, the Telegram library actually has a good few different ones, so it's probably a decent place to look. I wouldn't implement it the same way as this almost ever again, but like, it's here. So yeah, I'm missing the so that's the end of headers, and then there's a body that I have to print out. So I need to put in another println to be, this is the end of the body. So I think it's just timing out the client because I never return more than one thing. So client println. So I'm not getting that. If client println equals 0. So that's that. It's a send data here. Then we have a println to mark the end of it. So I'm just going to get rid of this placeholder code. Sorry for the whistly sound I just made. So I'm just going to click upload again. Oh, sure, I'm after making changes to code. Oops. Sorry, little Arduino ID. I know you just finished uploading, but I need you to upload again. Because it did seem to be slow. Like after it connected, it took a long time for it to fail. Which makes me think it was just timing out. So fingers crossed. So 123, still, it's not looking great. So we're still getting an invalid response. Okay, so let's bring back in this bad boy. I'll do this one. Get rid of that one. Go back here and we'll do upload. So is there anything else missing? So I have 2 client printlns now. Content length with the length. The length is 0. Yeah, sure. I could just I can just upload to Git now. In flight, work on player controls. I've updated the GitHub repo, Mark. Take it easy, Samuel. Thanks for joining. Good luck with school tomorrow. Okay, so let's look at the... I need to... I think I copied and pasted this over already, but I'll do it again just to make sure. Copy here. So go back to my player controls thing and click upload. And resetting. Oh, I think I'm doing a serial print or something. Or println. That's all we know. Header. This is very difficult to read. Serial.print. This would make it incredibly easier. So let's just do it again. Copy here. Bali mentioned he was going, yes. Okay, so length required. Post requires a content length code. Did I not add in content length? I added in content length to the get. Ah, crap. Oh, yeah, if anybody wants to send links, just let me know and I'll make you a mod. And if you abuse it, I'll ban you. But yeah, I don't have any problems with that. So, whoops, it was the content length problem originally. What is this? Arduino IP address. I think this was from much earlier. But thank you, Michael. Okay, I've a decent feeling that this will work now. I can get rid of this. I might just copy and paste it somewhere. Maybe I'll need it later. I'll throw it into Notepad, will I? Yeah, I'll throw it into a Notepad. Okay, so that's cool. Let's get this going over here. Copy here. Place. Okay. I have a good feeling about this one now. And by good feeling, I mean I don't have a clue, but I think it'll work. How was everybody's weekend? Get up to anything exciting at home? More than likely. Other than getting my hair cut, I was mainly just clearing out the garden of our old house. So fun times. This isn't going to print anything if it goes well. It's just going to do nothing. Hey Sven, we are working on a Spotify API library with an ESP8266. So if you don't know what an ESP8266 is, it's a Wi-Fi Arduino. And this Spotify API library, what we're hoping to do with it is to be able to control Spotify. So skip songs, and it is working there. So what I'm doing here is I'm just clicking the reset button on my ESP. And if you look down at my Spotify screen there, you'll see it'll skip song. Yeah. So this is good progress. We got that working. So this will allow us to be able to make like custom controllers for our Spotify. Like if you're playing it on She Who Shall Not Be Named from Amazon, like you don't normally, it's a bit annoying to be like, hey computer, next song, hey computer, next song, hey computer, next song. You know, it might be cooler to just have buttons to do it for us. I don't know about you guys, but I actually have multiple Spotify accounts, and the reason why is so if you don't know, Spotify family have a family plan. So it's €10 for a plan in Ireland, and then it's €15 for a family plan, and the family plan gets you 6 accounts. And so I have multiple ones, and so I upgraded to a family plan, and I gave one to my wife, and I gave one to my dad, and one to my mom, and I've one for myself. And then I also have a dedicated one on the She Who Shall Not Be Named. And what was I going to say? Then the reason I had that was because I used to like have my Spotify account on it, and then I'd go to work and I'd be like listening to whatever, and all of a sudden my music would stop because my wife was at home and she was after going into the kitchen and saying, "Hey, you play whatever," and it would only play on one place at a time, so it would just take the most recent one and play there. So yeah, that is why there is multiple Spotify accounts. 10-hour limit. I don't know any 10-hour limit. Is there a 10-hour limit? There used to be. Okay, so this is good progress. I guess we could add the next part of it. So if I was to add a previous track button, what needs to change with it? It's just the endpoint. Everything else would be the same. It's just the endpoint that changes. Oh, there's a free version. All right, Dustin, thanks for joining. Yeah, I haven't had the free version of Spotify in a long time, so I actually don't know what that's like anymore. Seems wasteful to just have another one called previous track when this is literally the only difference between them. So I guess I could do int simple player command. I will add it as a public in a second now, but I will take in it's not really a whole lot changing between these here. Oh, fuck it. For now, I'll just add in a previous track method, which is the exact same as this, which annoys me, but we are where we are. You can use the API for... I didn't see liking a song, but you can add songs to playlist there. Missing an A. Where am I missing the A? Oh, a colon. Previous track. Did I do something wrong here? Why is that not colored-y? Okay, I need a new... Okay, so we have skip users, playback. Ugh, come on. Go back to player. There's a seek as well. Seek to current position. Do we get the length of the song in the currently playing one? Yeah, I guess pause and play. Add an item to the end of the user's queue. So I want to do previous next. Spotify previous endpoint. Bool previous track. I should probably also check that get currently playing is still working, but we'll do that later. Did I spell previous track right? I think so. Yeah, I just like with Spotify that like I don't have to have any music downloaded anymore. Like I have unlimited data on my phone, or it has a fair usage policy, but it's like 80 gigs or something. And also I don't leave my house now, so I have Wi-Fi all the time. Okay, so this is literally the same, which bothers me. Yeah. Okay. Bool. Arduino, Spotify. Blah, 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 blah. I guess it would also be a chair stir. Should be command. I'm going on a bit of an audible here. This would be navigate. Player navigate. Navigate. Almost. Still have another little bit in it, but we'll get there. So if device ID is not that, we can copy command, blah, 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 blah. That all looks fine to me. And then we'll just do return player navigate command. Something like an accelerometer would always be good, Mark. I guess it's nice and cheap as well. Do you know what would be super interesting, actually, Mark? If it's just like a board for fun or whatever, if you made like a spirit level out of an accelerometer and maybe like 5 LEDs or something, that'd be pretty cool. I'd like to see that on a ruler. Return player navigate. That sounds like it's a computer game character. Sorry if I've just dumped a lot of work on you now. That was just the first thing that popped into my head, anyways. The other things maybe is like temperature, yeah. Okay, that actually makes me feel a whole lot better, but I just need to make a player navigate thing now, which returns a bool. Does not have a default. Player navigate, which takes a char command. And device ID, I don't need to default that because the other two have defaulted it already. That's such a stupid idea that I love it actually from Johnny. He's saying, but it's a that VL that's a time of flight sensor, isn't it, or something? Like a ruler that has like a laser measure on it. I think that's cool. Okay, so hopefully that still works. And we have hopefully added in previous and next to it. So that's player controls. I don't think I changed anything here. I should put in print though, right? Skipping to next track. It returns true. Just get rid of that for a moment. Serial print, and then serial print ln. Done. And now we are going to add basically the same, but up here. Yeah, it's kind of hard to like source like displays in like small quantities and stuff as well. Going to previous track. Ooh, I could that seek option as well. I might do that one next because going to the start of a song would be really useful for me. I would 100% not do anything for the ESP32S2 at the moment. Like, as in, unless you're trying to be to market first or something, like if it's just a hobby project, I wouldn't. Previous track. Yes. Okay, so we have our... Okay, we're probably ready to mess up some more things. So I can go to player controls and just copy this end part here into my new... I can copy across the two files. the H and the CPP, copy here, replace the files, go to my Arduino IDE, this one, go to, I think it's here, looks about right. Yeah, delay, going to previous track, done, going to next track. So that will probably just bring me back to the next song. That's okay. Okay, so let's click upload. See, do we get any errors? Yes, we do. Ooh, in the no, I just clicked Control S out of habit there. So where's that player controls? Did it print other than that? No. No. Doesn't like my player navigate. Oh, return player navigate. Okay. Oops. Where's my player navigate? Here. Yes, device ID. That should be that. So I forgot to add something. Let's copy that here. And we'll click play. I ordered a robot lawnmower last week. It's not going to come. It might be here by the end of this week, actually, but I have a bit of work left to install it, so I'm looking forward to it, though. Okay, so it's not throwing any errors. That doesn't mean it's not working. So let me just restart my ESP. So it should go to the previous song and then bring us back to this song. Goes to South Drive, then skips to the next song. Okay. Getting there. Let's take a look at the skip thing. So if we go to here, it's not library that I want, it's player, and then the seek. You get what you're seeking. Oh, there's my auth token. Enjoy. I'll just generate a new one off screen. Alright, so position in milliseconds. Okay. I basically wanted to I basically want it to be to pass in 0, but I guess people can pass in whatever they want. What did I do here? Oh, I copied the entire thing. Put this back up here somewhere. Right. So I will have to do a put. I can't remember, did I do put with this? Put and post are pretty much the same, are they? In terms of what I have to pass in. HTTP put headers. Yeah, okay. So it's the same thing. I'm putting It's almost the exact same as post, except it has put at the start. And I have to do a content type. Do I? Yeah. Yeah, sure, I do the same with post. Okay, so we're going to Arduino Spotify.h and we'll do a make post request. Even though it's pretty much the same. But you gotta do what you gotta do, I suppose. Put request. Let's add a new define. Spotify seek. Seek endpoint. It's player seek. Okay, that's fine. We'll do bool seek. I don't know. Seek makes sense, right? What else would you call it? Hey Graham, how's it going? Yeah, we'll just do seek. Int milliseconds. What do they call it? They call it position milliseconds. Okay, position. And device ID is also there. And is optional, so we'll do that too. Okay, that's alright to me. I think it'd be a gyro, but most of them have all of them, don't they? Like the MPU 6050 is a pretty common one. That has all three, I think. I think it's a gyroscope that you actually want, though. Because, like, an accelerometer is how fast it's moving in a direction, isn't it? I'm not the person to ask. Oh, I miss Sven going. Bye, Sven. Sorry for missing you going. Okay, so we'll get this. I'll get this post request. Let's collapse this. I don't need it. Expand it anymore. This. I might combine these at some stage because they're so similar other than the put and the post. I think that's literally all I'm going to change. Oh, isn't that? Yeah, I still buy them. I buy the modules though. They go onto my matrix, my ESP32 matrix boards. But yes. Okay, so that's literally the only change I'm gonna make. So I don't like that at all. Which one did I make the change to? The top one, right? Yeah. So that becomes my get put. Yeah, no, it's called a spirit level. What's NRD not for new designs, is it? Or oh, not recommended new designs, I presume. Yeah. Somewhere like does LCSC have them? I suppose you'd have to pay the $15 import thing then that Sweden have. Okay, so there's my put request. I can make this get request. They're a very clever thing, spirit levels. Okay, so I need to make my seek thing now. Seek to position. Look at the docs first. Authorization milliseconds. So it'll do it 204, no content. Okay, so it's pretty much the same as the other ones. Okay, so other than it's doing a put instead of a post. I suppose I should probably input the data correctly. So I need to do a query parameter for I need to do a query parameter for this. Oh, they just added, like they show me the curl on the side here. I'll just copy and paste it into a notepad. Like Spotify, in fairness to Spotify, they oh, it's a full whack of a thing. Oh, you see most of my bearer token. That's fine. They just put it at the end of the URL. But what I was saying, like in fairness to Spotify, they like have this place where you can try out their API on their website that automatically updates these curl things, and you know, that's nice. I like that. Fatten pass in Sweden. In Swedish. Okay, sure. I'll just keep it on the URL for the moment, and we'll see. Does it give out? Okay. So what did I make it? Bool seek position. Alright, I'll just copy and paste that in here. I'll just take this here. Right, so we're taking seek int. Just copy and paste that. Right, so I need to do this part up here. I need to get the correct endpoint, which is the seek one. Vattenfall, Vattenpass. The V is pronounced as W. Vattenpass. I'm so used to that being the other way around for like German and stuff. Vattenfall? Watten? I don't feel like I'm saying that right. Spotify seek endpoint. We have to put the position in, so we'll do that, I suppose. It wouldn't be percentage %S, it'd be percentage %D, and it would be position MS, I think. Position _MS. printf command calls an int command and its position. Then if we have a device ID, we'll put it in there. Then if we change this to put request, I think that should be that looked after. If we did it correctly, then we'll update player controls. Guess we'll put him up to start. Might make these a little bit longer so you can actually see things happening. Going to start of track. So Spotify seek. I'm going to pass in 0. Done. Okay, let's check that out. Okay, that's that. We just need to copy across the headers and the CPP. Copy here, replace. Water, watten. Didn't show an error, so that's good. Seems like it's an old serial monitor though. Did I not click upload? I thought I clicked upload. Did I not change the text? Bring up Spotify, I suppose. Seem to fail. Maybe my... I don't see going to start of track. So I guess I didn't... Yeah, like if I saw W in German, I would presume it was V, but I would have thought V was also V. So like Wasser or Weissbier would be W, but if I saw a V, I would presume it was Wouter. Let me just make sure I have a token that works with this. Request. Oh yeah, I changed my token. That probably doesn't help situations. I really need to sort the token situation out, but that won't be for tonight. If I got skip intro songs and seeking done, I guess play also needs to happen. Play and pause, but we'll get to them at some stage. Okay, we do have an error here. Expected semicolon at the end of something. I think it's here. Yes. Okay, so we'll go to the header. Press the files. Alright, that should be done now, so we can click upload. Didn't like something else. Expected initializer before currently playing. I'm guessing that's in here somewhere. That was a little placeholder I left myself. That is the CPP. I really should like put in a terminal, like just add a terminal to my Visual Studio Code that copies these two files across. It would save me a lot of jumping around. What do I want to do here? Back to Arduino ID. See, normally I would have my 2 monitors going, but my OBS is on 1 monitor and the private browser screen is on the other half of that monitor, so I can't use my big monitor for nearly anything productive. Okay, so let's make sure we get Spotify up here. So it's going to start track. That failed. Going to previous track. Failed. And all of that failed. Interesting. Token issue. I did make some changes. I didn't change a whole lot though. Just this. Bring back in my post request stuff. What do I want to do here now? Why would it stop working? Does it have to be playing? It is. So it's not playing. You're right. But surely you could skip songs when it's not playing. I am definitely not fluent in Gaelic. Yes, or Irish. Yeah, I guess for the sequence, like, I didn't think it would have to be. It does, yeah. It has to be playing. Okay. So it's working. But only when playing. I can't really do anything about that. It'd be nice to give the user a bit more reason why it didn't work. But it's fine. I think I'll probably just test that the other one works, the what's currently playing one, and then we'll call it a day. I think we did that's not a bad idea, but I will probably save it for some other time, Mark. But that is a good idea. Yeah, type S and it will do whatever. You are forced to use it at school, but like, we're terrible at languages, I guess. Like, I learnt Irish for years and I just can't speak it whatsoever. so shame on me. I saying I can't speak it whatsoever is a little bit incorrect. I can speak a little bit, a very little bit. My almost certainly to have broken get currently playing, but we'll see what happens. That's compiling anyways. Wow. It compiled. Uploading. Okay. So that still works. We're after adding previous, next, and seek endpoints. So yeah, what's left is getting smaller and smaller. We'll probably I would think probably do volume play and pause for sure. I think that'd probably be about it. Is there anything else people would like to see? On the... there's more tokens. I thought it was in the docs section, not the... is it a reference? Player... get currently playing. Yes, this is what I thought it was at. Does this tell you the progress milliseconds? But does it tell you the song length? It has to, right? Duration. Okay, so you could get the percentage of how long it is. Thanks, Johnny. See you later. Okay, so that's probably another thing we'd bring back as well. How far along in the song it is. Yeah, I think I'd say if we did one more stream on this, we'd be in good shape. Although I'm forgetting about the elephant in the room, which is that I need to sort out. The OAuth part of it. So I don't know if that'd be a good stream though, because I'd have to hide it so much. So I don't know. So yeah, I think we'll finish up on that. Thanks everybody for joining. Really appreciate it, and hope you all have a good week, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye bye.